Well, where do we go from here?
Did you hear about Bobby Caldwell?
I actually saw your tweet about it.
Can you believe that? Not only is he dead, ladies and gentlemen, but he was white.
Explain yourself, please.
Well, no, everybody on Twitter agreed with me. As a matter of fact, he was signed, come to find out, I read up on this a bit. He was signed by TK Records, which was a record company out of Miami that was started in the early 70s. And Harry Wayne Casey of KC and the Sunshine Band got a job there as a stock boy so that he could fucking use the recording studio at night. And he was the first big hit band on the label. And then they did a lot of disco. But TK Records, when that record was released by Bobby Caldwell, specifically tried to disguise the fact that he wasn't black because it was going up the charts on all of the R&B and soul and black radio stations. His picture was not on the cover of the album. And that was pre-MTV, and he never had another hit. So a lot of people, when they fucking announced he had died and they see a clip of him, are like, fuck, he's fucking white. You could put George Benson in there. You could put fucking Lou Rawls. I mean, the goddamn, it's impeccable and timeless and a soul classic out of nowhere. Cinderella Story never had another hit, and apparently has been performing that ever since, because the clip I saw of him was like from 5 years ago. He's still singing that song. What you won't do for love. You've tried everything and you won't give up. In my world.
Oh, come on. I'm sick. I'm not feeling good.
Made me do for love what I would not do. My friends wonder what is wrong with me.
What is wrong with you?
What a classic. Bobby Caldwell, 71 years old, and was only 10 years older than me, for heaven's sake. You know, the biggest regret of my teenage years, one of them at least. What was it, 1979? What You Won't Do for Love. I think it was Valentine's Day season, and they released, because back then the only way that you could purchase music and have it in your own home was to go to the record store and buy either a record or a cassette tape or an 8-track if you're going to play it in the car. But there was no streaming, no downloading, there were no CDs. There's that most people, almost all people, didn't have a home video cassette recorder in Valentine's Day 1979. So I go to the mall, I'm looking at the record store, and this was back when, well, in 1982, I was going to Pop Tunes in Memphis on the way to the Coliseum shows and getting 45 singles, not the number, 45 RPM singles. You know what I'm talking about, Brian. 45 RPM singles with the hit on the front and a fucking album cut on the back, the B-side, for either 99 cents or $1.99, depending on their vintage. And there in the record store is a single of What You Won't Do for Love by Bobby Caldwell, printed on heart-shaped red vinyl. And you could just sit there and watch it go around the demo turntable they had. And it was heart-shaped, but the grooves obviously weren't. And it was bright blood red. And I said, I want that. Boy, that's even cooler than the Jesse Ventura 12-inch single picture sleeve, right? And it was $8. And I wrestled with my conscience and could not justify in 1979 spending $8 on a single and didn't get it, and then felt bad about it and went back the next week and they had sold them out already and I never got it. And now he's dead. So see?
See what?
Well, don't you see?
I don't see. I don't know what you see.
Well, that shows you. It teaches you a lesson.
If you had bought the heart-shaped record, he'd still be here?
Well, that's possible.
Is that the point you were? I don't know what the point was that you're trying to make.
Well, Brian, I'm sorry, but you're on drugs. It affects your cognitive thinking. So,
Why did you not want to spend the $8? It sounds like it was a pretty cool record.
because it was a single.
But it was a special.
That was more than some albums were. Most albums were at that period of time. And I, even though I was living frivolously because I was making all that cool, sweet picture money from the Louisville Gardens and Gong Magazine and Bill Apter and all that type of thing, I still wasn't just going to go just insane. I was saving up for my VCR that fucking December, which cost $1,000. $8.
Oh, that $8 would have definitely derailed the VCR.
Well, it could have upset all my plans. Some of that Memphis wrestling might not exist to this day if it wasn't for that purchase.
How much were the first blank tapes you purchased for the VHS?
$25 a piece for a. Now they had just. Well, no, hold on. The VHSs were 25. Originally, you could only get them either downtown at Sun Television, I think, or out at the mall at the Magnavox store. But they were $25, but they had just recently come out with the 4-hour speed on VHS, because normally they were just 2 hours. And then about a year later or so, they came out with a 6-hour speed. So you could get 2, 4, or 6 hours out of the same tape.
Were you told initially, I mean, was it common knowledge right away from the jump that if you went to 4-hour or 6-hour speed that the quality would drop? Did you have to learn that, or was that?
No, it was in the materials. You will experience somewhat decreased picture quality in the slower speed, was I think how they described it. But yeah, that was, you could kind of figure that also intuitively. But the problem was, again, what's $25 in plus 5% tax in 1979? What is that today? So the point is, I started using, except for really special stuff, I started using
$103 today.
Okay, I started using the 4-hour speed because that would have been literally $200 a month on blank videotape just to fucking tape the wrestling show. So, but then within a year and a half, then you find the wholesale places in New York that you can mail order a carton of 10 or 12, and you get them for like $10 a piece that way. And 6-hour speed came in for the everyday stuff. And then beta, as you mentioned, was what you would record on if you really wanted something to be in high quality, because the picture quality was much better on beta. And those tapes may be $1 or $2 different by that point.
Well, Jim, before we get going too much further, and we have a lot to talk about today.
I thought we were almost done.
Yeah, we've been going a while, but to go back to what we talked about earlier, and all kidding aside, whether you are a listener of this show who loves what we do, or whether you're just one of the people that tunes in to hate listen, it doesn't matter. There's a lot of people going through a lot of things. And sometimes when people lash out and send angry notes, the reality is they may be unhappy, they may be lonely, they may not have someone to speak to. And again, whether you are someone who loves what we do or someone who doesn't like what we do, it doesn't matter. You may need someone to talk to, and we, of course, have someone you can talk to.
Yes, we do. And that was a very professional segue into a serious subject. And we've been talking about this, and a lot of people have misinterpreted my comments again when I said some people may not be cut out to be public figures. It doesn't mean in a perfect world, everybody wouldn't be great at everything they do, and every person wouldn't be nice about it to them, and et cetera, but the world ain't perfect. And some you can beat yourself up about stuff and dwell on it and fester, and it can manifest itself, or you can talk to somebody, and not somebody on Twitter, but like real people. This particular show, as we've mentioned many times, and this episode as well, is sponsored by BetterHelp. And they're licensed professional therapists that you can contact and to have a sounding board or to bounce stuff off of, to give you another viewpoint or a suggestion or a comment on something that might be bothering you. I mean, they give you the classic, big words of therapy is all about deepening your self-awareness and understanding. But a journey of self-discovery, basically, it's a little help, a little assistance in figuring things out from people that have experience talking to people about their problems. We're not saying that this is going to be gospel, as they say, but it might be helpful in learning some positive skills about how to deal with some of these things instead of just festering on it yourself. So nevertheless, or getting on Twitter about it, because I don't think that will help anybody. So folks, if you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online. It's designed to be convenient. They're flexible. You can suit it to your schedule. You go to BetterHelp, that's HELP.com, and fill out a brief questionnaire, and then they'll match you up with a licensed therapist. You can switch those at any time you want. There's no additional charge for that. But if you go to betterhelp.com/JCE, you'll get 10% off your first month's services. betterhelp.com/JCE, 10% off your first month's services. If you need someone to talk to, I know we talk to you a lot, but there's not as much give and take live spontaneously in the moment. We have to read your emails. You can actually talk to these people because they exist in the world as you're speaking to them.
That's right, BetterHelp, and we encourage anyone who's listening to this show who feels like they need someone to talk to. There's no reason not to do it. Find that person, and of course, find it with BetterHelp.